What is a veteran by name list? Looking at how it's created using profiles in HMIS, housing triage tools in HMIS, and the Volt form in HMIS. This is the veteran by name list that we use. All of the identifying information for this training has been blacked out, but here are the columns we look at. HMIS ID, last name, first name, SSN last four, age, race and ethnicity, and gender all come from someone's profile page when we are looking on the HMIS profile page. That information does come from that section, and so please be sure that this is all up to date as that is reflected on the veteran by name list. In addition to that, if this is not captured, if the veteran status is not captured, a household would not be appearing on the veteran by name list if this is not yes. So if you are not seeing someone on the veteran by name list and wondering why, this may be the first place to look. The status on the veteran by name list, which may have any of these: shelter, shelter institutional or temporary, transitional housing, unknown, unsheltered, active unsheltered, searching for housing with rapid rehousing, and blanks, of course. The Volt review date, which is what you will see also in the Volt form, just showing where that comes from right here, the Volt review date, as well as the first identification date, first date that someone was identified in HMIS, the VI SPDAT date or whatever housing triage tool is completed at the time, the name of the housing triage tool that's completed. Right now we are using the VI SPDATs, what the score of those housing triage tools are, the most current income, someone's chronic homeless status as determined by HMIS, which organization the household was routed to. If you look inside the Volt form, it is called the agency assigned to, and so those are the same. This is what populates this column. If someone has a sex offender status that's disclosed, if someone has a VASH exception, again, this is on the Volt form here under VASH exception. If someone has a housing plan that's determined, the hope is to be able to get housing plans for each household, which would be the most successful determined housing plan to keep that household retained. We can take a look again at housing plan within HMIS, as you can see here. Here are the options for what the housing plans may be, including if we know someone is already housed, had passed away, moved out of the area, was not in contact any longer with the homeless service system, or is currently incarcerated. The other option is also there for what you might want to say is someone's housing plan if none of these fit that need. And so from this, we would be able to capture in the text box other housing plans that are needed that we then could later turn into a drop down if that is something that is missing from the list. A good way for us to track that. From there, we have eligibility of a household. That comes from our veteran Volt form as well, and that is going to be right here when we're looking at eligibility, what the options are. This is a test client, so these are things we can move around with and see what then populates. In the same way, our non-eligibility reasons, if someone is not eligible for any services through the VA or is not eligible for VHA, we want to be able to determine what the reason is for that so that we know if there are other things they might be eligible for. So as you can see, there's another drop down that shows up once we hit not eligible. It disappears for VHA registered and eligible or not registered for VA, but these two, if we have more information, we want to do our best to capture that. The Volt note is very important, and we're going to have a whole section on that as well, but just do want to show that that comes from our Volt form also, and where you see that in somebody's Volt form is right here in the notes section. We also have de-identified households within the veteran by name list. Here an example of a few of them. Coordinated Entry for All does manage the de-identified spreadsheet. In the event a household is de-identified, we do have a spreadsheet we're able to check to see if that person's personal identifying information is available to be able to connect them with a housing resource. The place to do this is page 38 of the Coordinated Entry for All Operations Manual and page 9 of the HMIS User Manual. Be the places you want to check so that if you are de-identifying a household, we are ensuring that their personal identifying information is getting to the right place and going into that spreadsheet so that we don't lose who that household might be. If these are not followed, then we are not able to go back and figure out what household is identified through that HMIS ID. Veterans remain active on the by name list if they are interacting with the homeless service system within the past 90 days. As you can see, we do have reasons for activity that have categories such as activity in shelter, transitional housing, unknown due to other homeless service resources that they are connected to, if they are unsheltered and receiving services through one of those programs as well, or if they're unsheltered but enrolled in a rapid rehousing program and don't have a move-in date. These are things that we also can add to should we see other reasons that households should remain active, but we do want to ensure that we are catching the exceptions to the rule. So if you believe a household should be active on the veteran by name list and they've moved to inactivity due to not having a connection to the homeless service system in the past 90 days, please do flag that so that we're able to investigate that specific case and see if others might be affected by it as well. This also speaks to folks that might be inactive in the homeless service system. The reasons that we would look at inactivity could be due to a veteran passing away, a veteran being connected to non-permanent housing, but maybe doing a diversion opportunity that we're hoping turns into a permanent opportunity, not experiencing homelessness any longer due to exiting the homeless service system, inactivity due to a permanent housing placement, even including self-resolving or VA-specific placements that are not captured in HMIS, or inactive due to being unknown or missing, losing contact with the homeless service system in some way. Again, if you see people moving to the inactive status, but you believe that they actually are interacting with the homeless service system still, please let us know about those specific cases because there may be something with the formula that is not working correctly and we need to correct it quickly.